John, like last time we spoke, we talked about the direction of this organization and where we want to be and take the next step. And so since then, we've been talking to numerous people. I want to thank Mr. Aintrew's support and Nancy Aintrew, the entire Aintrew's family, obviously Dan Beckerman, who's here today. Their support behind the scenes for the health of this organization where we're at is one of the best in all sports. And you go around and start asking questions and you find out that quickly. So we're very fortunate for that. Like what I talked about last time is it was very important to get the right person to guide this franchise to where we want to be, which is not about beating one team, winning one round. It's about winning 4 rounds. And when Ken was available, and we had numerous talk, and we talked about the philosophy of the team and where this franchise wants to be, and our players and our coaching staff and the entire organization, it became clear to me that the best person was Ken. And the thing that he has, and I know you'll get him in, you guys will get to know him, is he knows the path of what it takes to get to the championship. And that's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard thing to learn. And obviously his experience, what he's done over his career is very important. It's very important at this time for this franchise that we get to that next level. So for me, without further ado, I just want to say I want to welcome one of the winningest GM in NHL history, and we're glad to have you on board. We're we feel very fortunate. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. First off, I'd like to thank you all for coming out this morning. I'd like to thank Mr. and Ms. Sanschutz and their family, Dan Beckerman and Luke, for believing in me that I'm the right man for the job. I'm incredibly excited today. My family's incredibly excited. My grandkids are really excited. I'm going to tell you, they're looking forward to coming to LA, watching some King games, and going to Disneyland. They're all under 9. I'd like to thank Gary Bettman and Colin Campbell. With this past year, they hired me to work with NHL hockey operations. It was a great experience to be in the video room and to work side by side with Coley and spend a lot of time with Gary Bettman and for keeping me around the game. I watched a lot of games. And over the last week or 10 days, Luke reached out to me after Rob Blake made his decision. I also want to thank Rob Blake. I think he did a tremendous job as the general manager of the LA Kings in rebuilding the franchise. And certainly in 2016, I charted a course in Detroit for a rebuild, and it's tough, these long-term rebuilds. And when I look at the job that Blakey did in retooling, rebuilding, and the team had 105 points this year. Tremendous regular season, and in my mind was a legitimate Stanley Cup contender before the playoffs started. It's a credit to Luke and all the people that have worked together to work so hard to build the team where it's at. So when Blakey stepped down, Luke reached out to me. I flew in last week. I spent the day with Luke and Dan, talked about the team, talked about my thoughts in building a team, my experiences. And then over the last few days, we've found a solution for me to join the team as the general manager of the LA Kings. I'm excited because it's a really good hockey team. I'm excited to be back in the saddle. I got a lot of energy. I had an opportunity this past winter to get my batteries rejuiced. I look forward to working with Jim Hiller going into next year. Spent 2 hours yesterday with Jim. Jim and I were together with the Detroit Red Wings back couple decades ago, but a while back when he was assistant coach to Mike Babcock, and I've followed his career with the Islanders and with Toronto. Thought Jim did a great job. The team checked, goals against were down, penalty killing was good, team played hard, and again I thought when the playoffs started that the Kings had a real good chance to go on a long playoff run. Unfortunately, we're ousted in a real tough series with the Edmonton Oilers. So that's basically it. I'm just really excited. My wife's really excited. I've been staying downtown at the Shade in Manhattan Beach. I can't believe what a beautiful area it is down there. You know, when you come in as the visiting manager and you're on the bus and you kind of just go downtown, you don't really know what the whole city's about. And in 2 days, I've had a real better feel for what this area is about. And the LA Kings have got a strong brand, led by great leadership, great ownership, Dan and Luke. And I'm excited to get into the saddle and get to work and see if we can't do what we did last year in the regular season and then go farther in the playoffs.
Thank you, Luke and Ken, for those remarks. We'll start with John and Jim here for the first two questions.
Again, welcome to LA. Just what about the management structure underneath you? Last week, Luke was saying that Nelson Emerson was under contract and would stay. Glenn Murray. Any thoughts on bringing in an AGM or some other additional support under you?
Luke and I talked about that. First off, I would say to you, I've been in the league. I was a manager for 27 years. I know how hard it is to win and how hard it is to rebuild. And I think the people here have done a marvelous job. So going to keep all the people. Look forward to working with them. Luke said if I had a person or two I might want to bring in, might look at doing that. Right now, we're going to sit and talk here over the next couple of days, but I look forward to working with Nelson and Glenn Murray and Jim Hiller and all the people that have been here. Again, I think they've done a marvelous job, and I'm hoping to come in and add a little something to it, maybe a little different idea. And I've kind of been through this in 2019 when I went to Edmonton. I know what's got to be done. I got to meet the people, talk to the coach. I know I got amateur meetings, pro meetings. Going to go to the combine. I got to get on the phone here next week, talk to agents. Some players are restricted, some players are unrestricted in this team. I want to talk to other general managers to see what they're thinking as we head into the time when you do trades at the NHL entry draft, free agency, and then the early in July is the development camp. So it's a big 6 weeks for me, for the organization. Fortunately, I did it, wasn't in 2019, I did it in Edmonton, so I know what's got to be done, and I'm looking forward to getting going.
Yeah, Jim Hill, KTL 9 News. First of all, congratulations and welcome. I've said many times that this is the sports capital of the world. And with that being said, how much more pressure does that add to you and this organization in order to succeed because of the dollar that's out there?
Well, I think when you're in pro sports, I was a manager in Detroit for 22 years, and that was pressure. And then I went to Edmonton for 5 years, and that was pressure. And I'm jumping back into the pressure cooker here. So I understand that this is a marketplace that's, Luke and I have talked, it's really competitive. You think about the professional basketball, professional baseball teams, and all the competition for the entertainment dollars. So it's important that we win, compete. What's winning? Define winning. Well, first off, you got to make the playoffs, and then when you make the playoffs, you want to go on playoff runs. And they've made the playoffs here, and unfortunately, the last 4 years, got knocked out by Edmonton. Got to find a way to make the team a little bit different, a little bit better. I think the experiences that the players have gone through here will benefit us down the road. And some of the young players here that are just growing into important pieces. But certainly I understand that we need to compete. We got to be a playoff team, and ultimately you want to go on a playoff run because we're in a very, very competitive marketplace, one of the great sports cities in all the world.
Okay, Dennis.
Ken, you're one of a handful of GMs that won 3 cups, but because your last cup was 2008, some of your critics say you kind of lost your touch with respect to building a championship team. So how would you answer those critics?
Well, I would say to you that, on top of that, we went to Game 7 and lost 2-1 in 2009 to Pittsburgh. On top of that, we went to Game 7 and lost 2-1 last year to Florida. In the last 3 years in Edmonton, we went to the Final Four and lost to Colorado, who won the Cup. Then 2 years ago, we lost in the second round to Vegas, and they won the Cup. And last year we went to Game 7. So. Certainly want to win the cup, that's the ultimate goal, but you got to be there time after time after time after time, and then one day you hope to push through.
We'll do Eric Stevens.
Hey, Ken. Obviously, Jim and his staff, his presence being here, is probably notable. Jumping off of what you said earlier, does that mean that Jim Hiller will be your coach going forward?
I can help you. Just so everyone knows, Eric's was late.
Yes, I know everything else.
You can repeat what you said earlier.
No problem, I can take
Sure, we all do.
it. I can take it.
Yeah, Jim's gonna be the coach. Again, I think he did I would say to you that, I became a general manager in 1997 in Detroit. I was the assistant manager when we won the Cup in 97, and I was the GM when we won the Cup in 98. And as I look back and analyze my own personal career, probably made 2 or 3 or 4 decisions that might be a mulligan, or might do something a little bit different. And I think that we're all the same, and I think that, Jim Hiller did a fabulous job in leading the team to 105 points. They were good defensively. They were good in special teams. The team played hard. Again, I thought 3 weeks ago that this was a team that had the potential, the ability to go on a long playoff run. And he'll be a better coach next year for the experience he went through this year. And I think each year that goes by, I'm a better manager than I was the year before, because I think when you coach and when you manage and you play, experience is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So again, I think Jim did a great job. Look forward to working with him and him and his staff because he did a great job.
And to follow up, I've seen a quote from you in the past about maybe not being cut out for a stress-free experience.
Yeah.
I mean, but someone with your resume could easily, just call today and have a pretty darn good resume. So maybe can you expand on not being wired for a stress-free existence and wanting to be in the fire?
Well, I would say to you that, after Game 7 last year when we lost in Florida on a Monday night, I met with Jeff Jackson and we kind of agreed we were going to go our separate ways. And that weekend was the NHL draft, and I missed being there. It's the first draft I'd missed in about 40-something years. And I wasn't sure where I was going. Was I going to miss it? And I would say to you, over the course of the winter, I'm living in British Columbia. Every night at 4 o'clock, the TV's on. I'm watching hockey every night from 4 o'clock to 10:30, and my wife's in the bedroom watching a movie, or she's reading a book, and I'm still in hockey. I'm still in hockey, and fortunate again, like to Gary Bettman and Bill Colin Campbell to have me part of it. So, I went to the board of governors meetings, the managers meetings. Long-winded. I missed it, and my wife Cindy was asking me in February and March, if the phone rings, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I know if an opportunity comes, I'd love to get back in, because you don't know if the phone's going to ring. And when Luke called, I talked to a few teams here over the last 3 weeks. I just thought this was a great fit for me personally and professionally. I missed being under fire.
Russell?
Ken, welcome to Los Angeles. You've been on the other side of this, what the Kings have gone through the last 4 years, obviously not this past year, but the 3 years before. Luke talked about this team needing a killer instinct to take them over the hump. What have you seen being on the other side from this team, maybe possibly, or adding in terms of getting them there?
I told this to Luke and to Jim, when I look at those 3 years that I was the manager of Edmonton, we were playing LA. The first year we were down 3-2 coming out here. Darnell Nurse was suspended, and we found a way to win a big Game 6 and again won 1-0 in Game 7. So it was a series that could have went either way. And then the next year, we were down 2-1 and 3-0 after the first period. Had to do a goalie switch. Stu Skinner went out, Jack Campbell went in and found a way to win in overtime and won that in 6 games. That series could have went either way. I thought the third year that I was there, we won in 5, and we probably were a little bit better that series. But these, when I reflect back on the growth of the Detroit Red Wings when I was there, and then I reflect back on the building of the of the Edmonton Oilers and where they are today for the Final Four 2 straight years in a row. You just got to stick with it. You got to and find a way to win a series and you know, and every time you can get a little more confidence from accomplishing something, it builds you going forward. So I think you just got to stick with it. There are no magic wands or tricks. You just got to stick. You got to believe in a plan. You know, we're trying to make a few tweaks to the roster. You got to, part of this has got to be internal growth. Some of the players that are here that are 22, 21, 22, 23, we need them to take a step. Can't all be about free agency or this big mega trade. It's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, it's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, and then, you know, like you said, I watched it in Detroit, and I watched it in Edmonton, and certainly that's what we hope to accomplish here.
Raj?
Ken, you touched on this, but was there, I don't know, something that you learned about yourself during this time away? Like, I don't know if you thought you could leave the game entirely, but the fact that you're glued to your TV from 4 to 10, like, was there something that you learned that, like, I love this game and I have to come back at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you know, the game is very important to me. You know, I love building and work. You know, I always say that in Ward Fogel's here, he was with us in Edmonton. You know, the players, I work with the coach, and the players understand the coach is their boss, and then I'm the manager's boss, and then I report to Luke and to Dan and to Mr. and Miss Sanchut. So we've all got there's a channel, and we've got our jobs. And you're building, you're trying to build something, and I enjoy trying to build an organization or build up a young player, and I feel good about the young players that are in the National Hockey League today that I shook their hand at the draft table, and you went through that whole process to grow them into National Hockey League players, and you're trying to grow and build a team, and I guess that's been the thing that I've enjoyed the most when I got into this business in the 90s. Nothing's changed today. And I think that's been what's been missing for me. I enjoyed lots about being around the game. I did enjoy some time to have, you know, stress-free year. But I'm excited about being back in the saddle, back in the fire, and working with people to try to make everything just a little bit better on a daily basis.
Dennis?
Ken, a couple of things. Can you confirm how long your contract is?
Multi-year.
If you,
That's confirming.
more than one. If you play in free agency and you go after top tier players, you're gonna have to offer a contract probably close to $90 million to get a player like that. Do you have the authorization from ownership to sign a deal like that this summer?
Yes. And I would, yes, the absolute is yes. I mean, we talked about that. I mean, we want to be in the LA Kings want to be in the big boy league. They're prepared to go to the cap. Now, you're not just going to spend it to spend it. And I think I've watched Luke's press conference, but if we think there's a player out there that is going to cost a lot of money and a lot of term, the answer is yes. I'll work with Luke, I'll work with Dan, and obviously ownership, but this is an organization that is committed. Certainly that's why I'm here. In my mind, going through all this, that I know to win, you got to have some things, and that's why I'm here. The ownership's committed. You know, Dan and Luke are committed. The people that are here, the work that's been done, the passion for I used to love coming out here as a visiting team and playing in. It's Los Angeles. It's LA. It's an entertainment world, and then again to come in here and spend some time in Manhattan Beach and see these, you know, what a beautiful world that is. I'm excited. So the answer is absolutely yes.
Daryl?
Welcome to Los Angeles and
Thanks.
Kings, Ken. When you look at this team from the outside, what do you view as the strengths of this team and maybe the needs or challenges moving forward to get to the next step?
Well, first off, good teams are good in goal. Darcy Kemper had a fabulous year. He's a finalist for the, he won the Stanley Cup and helped in Colorado. He's a finalist for the Vezina Trophy. He had a great year, and he was a big part of the year that they had. I thought that they were 4 lines deep. They relied on a lot of people to pitch in. knew how to check, keep, you know, I would say to you, Daryl, that, you know, when I watched Scotty Bowman come into Detroit in 1994, and we had great regular seasons and the same disappointing playoffs, his message was check, 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 check. You gotta know how to check, and we eventually, this team knows how to check. You know, that's on, great job by Jim Hiller and the players. The goals are against it. You can't go on long playoff runs winning 6-5, but you got to do it sometimes. So I think that it's 4 lines deep. The team knows how to check. Got one of the elite goaltenders. They've got some really good young players that I think that are on the upcome and are only going to grow and get better. It's Los Angeles. I think that, you know, at the right time, to your question, when we want to go out and try to recruit free agents, it's Los Angeles. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to play. It's one of the entertainment capitals of the world. Excuse me. So I think there's so many different things, different positives. That's why I'm here personally.
Ted?
Welcome, Ken. The term that I keep thinking of is built for the playoffs. So what is your description of what that means and where this team is right now? Because that's been the difference of the last 3-4 years.
Built for the playoffs, lots of blue paint, lots of winning, lots of one-on-one battles, blocking shots, you know, knowing these are fun. These games are decided by a fine line. You know, like I think there's a game last night, 6-1, but these games are, you know, it was 1-0 overtime last night for Edmonton. So, you know, you think about all these playoff games, they're fine line leagues. So those are the ingredients. But I also think it's important that they've been in these playoffs 4 years in a row, and unfortunately haven't found a way to get to beat Edmonton. But 3 of the 4 series were up for grabs. You know, this year they're up 2-0, and Edmonton won. And then I talked about my first 2 years. So it's sticking with it. It's making some tweaks as a manager, as the coach. Maybe some tweaks to the system. The manager making some changes. The growth of some young players. And then you got to, you know, blocking shots, winning one-on-one battles, getting to the paint, and battling and scratching. You saw the winning goal in overtime last night that Kapanen scored, throwing the puck to the net, and there's a scramble, and you know, you whack it in. That's playoff hockey, and so this team did a lot of that all year, and got to try to have a great regular season, get yourself back in the same position again this time next year, and with some moves, with some growth, with some adjustments, believe that we're better prepared to win the round or 2 or 3 or 4.
Jonathan?